Hello, my name is Holly Hughes and I'm a farmer at Grateful Plains in Grand Ridge, Illinois. You may have read a column or two called The Garden Maiden. I used to write for the newspaper, so this is a continuance of some of that education that we like to share for beginning farmers and maybe seasoned farmers who are just trying something different. So today we're going to talk about tomatoes and peppers. We've had a very cold May, which is unusual. A lot of people who are antsy and want to get the plants in the ground might be a little bit unhappy right now because we've had 4 nights that have been under 40 degrees. So I brought this plant to show you what happens. This is actually a coleus plant. It's one that we had started and was very happily sitting outside. It was hardening off, getting ready to go into some of our container plants. And this is what the frost does. So the cold air and water on a tender plant will wreck the cells of the leaf, and then essentially what it does is it wrecks the plant. But for some plants, and the coleus is one of them, we can actually break off the damaged cells, and it happens to be a plant that will get happy and produce from the bottom. So you see these new little leaves at the nodes, they will keep producing. Similarly, a tomato can recover in that way. But let me tell you about planting your tomatoes early. The tomato plant will go into dormancy until the soil is 50 degrees. And that usually means, or around that, it usually means that you want the nights to be 50 degrees or more because by that time the soil has warmed. Otherwise, if you're putting your tomatoes in the ground, they're going to stay small. So let me show you what that is. These are all tomato plants that we've started from seedlings. We have some at 3 different stages. So here we have a very young seedling. This is possibly maybe 3 or 4 weeks old. They don't take long to come up. So once you sow the seeds and keep them warm and happy, you'll see instant gratification because you'll see a neat line of seedlings within a week or so. And then we do it in 3 stages. We pot them up into little individual cells. You'll see it's a deep cell. A tomato will root on its entire stem. Not too many plants can do that, so that gives us a lot of root quality. And let me just pop that out there and I'm going to show you what that looks like. These were actually probably only done about a week ago, so we'll just see how much they've been growing. This can be a tricky thing, so you might want to be a little gentle when you're checking on your roots to make sure they're happy. I just want you to see that it's got a nice stem system of roots. And you don't want to handle it like that. I can do this because I've got hundreds of plants. If it's your only plant, don't take them out of there till you're ready to put them in the ground. And then what we do is we take that happy plant that is in here and we put it in even a deeper container so that we have all of those roots on the bottom of here and bury the leaves. You can actually bury the tomato all the way up to its top node. So I could have soil all the way up to where my fingers are and everything underneath, all these little hair that look like cilia will become roots over time. So what we like to do is in a very quick motion, week to week, put it in the small packs, put it in the seedling container, and then rather promptly, we like to get them into the half-gallon containers. So this is the same age plant, been in our greenhouse the same amount of days. The difference is if it's in a small container, it stays small. And if it's in the bigger container, then I've got a much stronger stem. I've already hardened this plant off. It does have some cellular damage on these outside leaves, but I can prune them right off so that the new leaves are going to come. And notice I'm not going to take all of the damage off because it does need some leaves to perform where the sun comes and feeds it. And so you want to leave some of it on there, but these will very quickly then, all of the energy will put into these small guys and this will grow. Now when I hand this to you and you've purchased it from us, I'm going to tell you to lay it on its side and plant it in the ground and cover all the way up to the tip so that it will just come up toward the sun and start growing, and all of this will be your root, so you have a lot more watering space in your garden. Similarly, peppers, which people like to put in early too, don't recover as quickly because they're a very tropical plant. And a pepper plant stays smaller longer. It doesn't care about getting potted up as much. because it will get large from heat more than from the size of the container, in my experience. And so we leave them in this, but we try to do them very early so that we can get bigger plants earlier in the year. But they do not like to be in the cold nights. They don't even like cold days. So these love the heat. We like to put them in our high tunnel or in a very sunny spot so that they're getting a lot of extra heat early and putting their roots on. Because what some of you don't know is that a red pepper or an orange pepper is actually a mature green pepper. So if you're looking for what kind of pepper plant you should buy, sweet peppers, which we have a couple different ones. We grow King of the North. King of the North is known for its blocky shell shape, blocky cell wall. And so it's got a nice thick, this is a typical green pepper. And if you leave it in the field long enough, we actually pick sweet peppers immature. They're actually immature fruit, which is why they have that tang. A lot of people, if you think you don't like peppers, it's because they're not very ready. So that tang and that zesty flavor is because it's immature fruit. If you leave it on the plant, which gets to be a bush type and it branches out, then they will turn orange and eventually they will turn red. Some of them, like we have some heirloom peppers, this is actually a Medusa pepper, so it's a much smaller plant, much more branching. This we grow because it puts on a really cool head of wild fiery peppers, and we use it in our floral display. So we actually grow this so that we can have really pretty farm flower bouquets. But it's fun to watch too. And you can eat it, very hot, Medusa. So a hot pepper plant is typically a smaller leaf, typically a smaller plant, doesn't need as much space in the garden. A paprika or a poblano or we have a Livingston pepper. This is kind of a very typical, more of a hybrid type. This we like to teach the 4-Hers because it's just a very reliable pepper to get fruit early. So the things to watch for a pepper is the time frame. You can get them as early as 70 days, but some of them take up to 100 days. So peppers are very slow and patient, and if you pick them too early, you will not enjoy it. There's not much you can do if it's not ready. Unlike with a tomato, if you pick a green tomato, even though it's hard and green, you can still fry it up and have fried green tomatoes or make a tangy salsa verde. So there are things that you can do with unripe tomatoes, but with the pepper plant, the walls aren't as thick, the fruit isn't as big, the seeds aren't formed, and so we really don't want to harvest them too early. So the thing with peppers and tomatoes that you should be thinking about right now is be patient, find a spot in the yard. They're actually nice companions because the tomato plant can get tall in the sun. The pepper will appreciate some afternoon shade. It does not care to get baked, loves to have its feet in the shade. So what I mean by that is if I'm planting these two plants side by side, even if the plant is in the sun, if I can shade the root of it, the pepper plant will appreciate that. And it's also a good companion to run onions or chives or basil. I'm going to show you one of our trays of basil as well. We have a mix and match pack, and this is actually going to be available on our farm stand, so pay attention to this fun stuff. This is our sunrise combo. So each year we try new tomatoes and peppers. This is a lettuce leaf basil, so it gets a little crinkly, so we're excited about the use for that. These are actually growing pretty nice. And then we have a Bumble series. So we have Bumble Purple, Bumble Gold, and then we have some yellow peppers that we're using called lemon drop pepper, so a zesty, almost hot pepper. So we did do a few of these packs like this. All of our seedlings range from $3 to $8 depending on the size and the longevity. Sometimes they're in bloom. Sometimes we have wonderful supporters who just want to give us a lot of money to grow some heirloom vegetables for them. And so it's really fun for us if you say, hey, I'd like a bushel of tomatoes later, you give us $50 and we grow these beautiful plants, and then we'll bring you tomatoes later in the season. So Second Sundays is a great time to see some of the produce that we're doing. But right now for Second Sunday, which will be in June, we will have tomatoes and peppers, and it will not be too late to plant them. It'll be an ideal time. So get your beds ready, get the weeds out of there, put some fertilizer, some natural compost, get it ready. And all you need is about 4 square feet. and you can grow enough tomatoes and peppers for a family of 4. So thank you for joining us today. If you have specific questions, please send them to us at grow@gratefulplains.com, and we will answer your questions. We're excited to be getting some channels up for you, and keep posted at our Facebook page on Grateful Plains for all of the upcoming links for the exciting information we have.